Now it's time for Glow with Markette Sheppard, a show where talk enlightens and inspires you to glow through life instead of going through the life just to get by. Hosted by Emmy award-winning TV host and best-selling author Markette Sheppard. Listen now for insightful conversations featuring celebrities and thought leaders. Call in to share your story live on air. Are you ready for a glow up? Your journey towards enlightenment starts right now.
That's right. Your journey towards enlightenment starts right now. And we have an amazing guest on today's Glow with Markette Sheppard. She started out in the entertainment industry as a talent manager. She worked in casting, and now she's helping entrepreneurs bankroll their brilliance. We have Nicole Roberts Jones on the show today with Brandon Richardson, our resident celebrity makeup artist. He spills the tea in Brandon's matcha every week on YouTube. And Cheryl Grant, she's also a veteran of the entertainment industry. You may have heard her on the radio. You know her blog entries on glowstreamtv.com, which supports this podcast. So please go check it out. I'm your host, Markette Sheppard, and we're talking about your brilliant ideas. Everyone has a great idea. Everyone has something that they're innately good at. And I want to talk to you, Nicole. Welcome to the show about how you transitioned from the entertainment industry to helping entrepreneurs, like you said, this is your business, bankroll their brilliance.
Yes. So first, let me say thank you for having me. I feel like my eyelash is acting crazy because it seems Brandon is here. So just know if you see me touching my eyelash, Brandon is showing.
Give us tips later.
Right. So with that said, I never intended to start a business. Let me be honest. If you would have asked me 28 years ago, and yes, I've been doing this 28 years, would I have ever left my dream? So like you said in my bio, I worked in the entertainment industry. I had the job I have dreamed of since I was 7 years old.
What was that job?
And so I worked for BT. I worked on the Martin Show and casting back in the 90s. Yes, the Martin Show. So by the way,
an iconic show, and everybody was cast perfectly. I'm not just saying that, but that show is iconic.
I had so much fun. So listen, I can tell you all the other things I worked on too, but the point is this, I loved every minute of it. And so I couldn't understand though why I felt like something was missing. And so every time I talked to one of my girlfriends, they would say, have you lost your mind? Do you realize where you work? And we've been to this VIP event and we've been on this red carpet. But every night I felt like a little piece of myself died because I couldn't figure out what was going on with me. And so what happened, Markette, is, and I love you that you call it enlightenment, because I really needed a glow up from the inside. Come on, somebody play on words, right?
Yes, yes.
So I kept looking for an outside answer to an inside yearning. And so what happened is one of my good girlfriends one Friday night said, let's go volunteer at this youth program at our church. And that night, as I started working with young people, as their eyes lit up, my heart lit up. And I realized, oh my God, this is it. But this didn't have a name. We know now it's called coaching. And so literally what I indeed did, and I realize it now, I didn't realize it then, is I took my same gift that I had, putting people in the right role, really understand how to produce their gift. And literally that's what I began to do with those kids in that church that night. And that's what I've been doing with grown folks for the last 28 years is really helping you understand how to take your purpose and create multiple streams of income from it.
I love it. So this is truly a calling for you. Like you said, there was something missing. You found your calling like so many people do in church. And I want to use the phrase, you go girl, which came from Martin, right? Everybody says it and nobody credits the show.
Right. Right.
So when you started with children, and I think of a talent manager, me having had a career in TV hosting and entertainment, knowing that a talent manager helps you see things in yourself that you can't see because you're too close to yourself. Yeah. Where do you start with someone who has that same feeling like you, where something's missing? I have this thing that I do. I have a knack for this, but I'm going to work for, X company, right, and it's not fulfilling that passion.
So first, I love this conversation. First of all, I love my job. You can also feel like this and hate it, which is where Michelle Obama was in her book, Becoming. She talks about this.
Remember, yes.
That she had the job. Listen, she matriculated through law, and we all know she went to Harvard, all the great things she did, but she hated it. And so really what you've got to do when you come to that crossroad is this. And by the way, I realize what God does is I call it the purpose matriculation system. I'm clear that I was meant to work in entertainment because I loved it. And I still miss the parties, by the way, right? But there are things I learned in that arena that I used in the next arena, working with teenage girls and then working with highly skilled professionals, which is what I do now. So God needed to start me in one place and grow me. So for those of you that are saying, well, what do I do? First, you have to understand you cannot see the label from inside the jar. I'm gonna say that one more time, so you'll get what I mean in a second. You can't see the label from inside the jar. So what I mean by that, Markette, is so many people do what they do on autopilot. So every day you wake up, you don't have to say, well, I feel like being Markette today. No, you're Markette, whether you want to be or not. So there are things that are intrinsic to your DNA, your distinct natural ability that you don't realize that you do. So the first step is realizing it. So taking time to pay attention. And so the two ways, and I call this my kind of my purpose, my brilliance framework. The first two ways is look at what do you absolutely love to do? What are you passionate about? The second is what are you proficient in? Those two things have to correlate. You have to love it and you have to be great at it. So it's paying attention to those two things. And I guarantee you it's the thing that people either say, can I pick your brain? Can I run something past you? So first is to pay attention.
That is good. Pay attention. And I think in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and we're not all commuting like we were before the pandemic, but we're still getting out of bed, logging into the virtual office, making coffee, getting people off to school if we have little people in our homes. And so would you recommend that people take the beginning part of their day to focus or meditate? Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people feel overwhelmed, even if they're not leaving the home now.
Yep. So obviously I'm a God's girl. So you guys, I'm going to relate everything to God. So listen, bear with me. So listen, I call it the be, do, have formula. So many of us focus on do. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? We have a to-do list. We have all these things to do in a day. But what we have to understand, if we're going to have all the things we want, we have to add to the do being. So yes, you've got to sit in quiet contemplation. Listen, God is not going to speak up in your busyness. If you're trying to be busy for busy's sake, then okay, he's going to let you do that. It's called free will. If you want to understand what's next for you, you've got to sit in silence. Listen, you've got to pray, yes, but you got to listen. Meditation is listening, y'all. Okay. We can't just talk and talk and talk. That's not a relationship if you're just talking. So it's really taking that time. So for me, in that moment when I know what to do, I just started sitting in silence 20 minutes a day. And if you can tell that I love to talk. So that was hard for me. I had to learn how to sit with myself in silence. No easy task, but it's really looking at what does that look like for you, whether it's meditating, whether it's listening to some music that makes your soul feel good, whether that for me is sitting by a beach at least once a quarter, or have a waterfall when it's cold outside. So, or a pool, some kind of water. So looking at what do you need to do to have that being time so that you can really sit with what your soul is saying to you.
I love that. And as you mentioned early, for those who haven't read Becoming, the Michelle Obama autobiography, she talks about being a successful lawyer, being flown all over to practice law, and, her mother picking her up from the airport one day, and Mrs. Obama tells her mom, I'm unhappy. And her mom's like, get the money, like an old school mother would do. And the money was not filling her up. She quit her job and became an executive director of a nonprofit, making way less money. But she listened, and look at where she is today. Yeah. I would love to bring the Glowstream TV family in to ask questions. I want to know, Brandon and Cheryl, do you take time, that 20 minutes that Nicole is mentioning, to sit with yourself and understand where you're at and where you want to go?
Oh, absolutely. I'm doing it now, right now, here with all of you. I love this. And, what they say, I like this so much, because what they say is, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Yeah. And to me, that's what's important. And Nicole, when you say sit and think and meditate on what it is and listen to what it is that you want to do, it's really impactful. And I think that's what I did. That's why I'm here with you today, Markette, so yes.
What about you, Brandon?
I'll be real. No. And that's because I'm learning how to do this. We had a guest on a couple of weeks ago and we talked about meditation. And so from there, I said, make time. But to your point, Nicole, it's so easy to get for the alarm to go off. You wake up, and the first thing I do is grab my phone to figure out what in the world did I miss while I was asleep.
Yeah.
And from there, that trickles into other things. And then it's a meeting, then it's a shower, then it's getting dressed. And then now you look up and it's time for lunch. So I'm working on implementing with myself, especially since, he has a birthday tomorrow and I'm getting a little wiser and older, is to at least harness a good 5 to 10 minutes for myself, whether it's journaling or meditating or praying and all that great jazz. But I'm working on it, y'all.
And it doesn't have to be in the morning, Brandon. It could be afternoon, your lunch break, while you're eating and you're taking that moment. Instead of scrolling through Instagram, I'm talking about me, not you. Instead of scrolling through Instagram, take that moment to just sit with me, right? Or in the evening. Now I've learned to take long, hot baths and just have that quiet moment. So now I do morning and evening, because listen, you can't serve from an empty cup. And if you're giving and giving and giving and you never pour back into you, at some point you're going to be on E.
Absolutely.
I believe that so much. There's a famous saying by Oprah, and she says, people say I'm full of myself. Well, I say fill yourself up until you're overflowing. And then that's the only way that you can pour into other people. Yes. And so it starts with self-care, especially if your business is service oriented, like yours, Nicole. You help entrepreneurs. Brandon, I know you're busy flying all over the place, doing makeup for people. And Cheryl, I know sometimes your job requires traveling as well as mine. And it's like you're giving, you're trying to be on schedule, you're trying to be there for other people. But if you're not there for yourself, then how can you possibly win the day, as I like to say?
Can I add something to that?
They say win the morning, and that sets the tone for the rest of the day.
So even as a speaker, so let me tell you guys, so I am actually shy by nature. Nobody believes it, but I am. And so because part of what I do, I have to be a speaker. I've had to learn. So when I hired a coach, let me tell you what the coach told me to do: sit and meditate. Now, this was before I learned how to meditate. Now, I'm not going to act like I'm good at it. Okay. So I meditate with music, right? And we can have a whole conversation about that. But here's the thing. I'm nosy. So I cannot meditate. I'm at an event, get ready to go on stage. I can't meditate with my eyes closed and not see what's happening. So I've had to learn to breathe and meditate and be nosy. So I'm sharing that because you need a friendly edit. Everybody's being is going to be different. I have to tell my team, if I have a volunteer, if I'm looking at you, girl, don't talk to me. That means I'm meditating. If I'm getting on stage, I'm just nosy. I'm going to look and see what y'all talking about, but I'm still breathing and trying to get centered, right? And so I'm saying that because everybody's going to be different. So find what works for you.
I love that. When I used to do live TV, I used to hate when people would talk to me during the commercial breaks, because that was my 2 to 3 minutes to recenter myself and focus on what I was going to do next. And I was kind of compartmentalizing the live 1 hour show. Okay, let me get through the first block to commercial. Okay, let me get through the second block. And people don't understand it's okay to sit in silence. And it's okay to tell people, give me 30 minutes or give me just a second to get settled in. One thing I want to ask you, Nicole, and I don't know, Cheryl, if you and Brandon have experienced this, but I feel like there's an ebb and flow to life. I remember sitting on the live talk show set that I had worked so hard to be at and was there for years and sitting there one day and thinking, I have rode this wave. I have rode this wagon until the wheels there's nothing more I can learn here. What's next? And when you get to a point where you're feeling like what's next, I knew that I wanted to start at Glow. I knew that I wanted to start Glow, I knew I wanted to be in leadership. But those transitions, when you know that you've rode the wave as long as you can ride it, there's an art to pivoting. There's an art to transitioning smoothly. What do you recommend to your clients and your entrepreneurs as far as knowing that they want to change, they know what they want to do, and now it's time to take those steps, but you want it to be a waltz. You don't want it to be big, clunky steps.
Mm-hmm. So first, especially those of you that are transitioning to start a full-time job, people will tell you to, not full-time job, to start your own business. You're already in a full-time job. People will tell you to step on faith. I'm like, hold on, stop. God does not tell us to have stupid faith. Okay. So there's a whole book in Proverbs called in the book of wisdom. So you've got to have strategy. So one of the things when you look at people like Oprah, Oprah, when she left the Oprah Winfrey show, it was still doing well. We could probably still be watching the Oprah show, but she had this inkling, this desire for more. Same with Beyonce. Now, all of us know who Beyonce is, and I call this finding your fierce. So when she had this inkling for more, so she had been in a group, right? The inkling was to be solo. So the first reason I'm sharing that with you is when you have an inkling for more, it's always going to be bigger than what you already are. Your bio, your resume is over. So that version of you can't help you to get to the next version of you. Now, it'll give you a great foundation, but you're going to need more. So what Beyonce had to do to go solo is she had to create this alter ego called Sasha Fierce, right? Now, listen, this came to me one day. I was watching Beyonce, hating on her. I would say a little bit, but I wasn't. Full on jealous moment, because you need to know if I could sing, baby, she'd have a run for her money because I can dance, okay? At least I like to think that. So anyway, so as I was having this jealous moment, what dropped in my spirit is you have fierce too. Like, I know this ain't God talking to me while I'm watching Beyonce. But what I realized is that in order for her to have the courage to push through fear, to go after a level above which she already was, she had to conjure up this alter ego to be able to do it. So I think so many highly skilled professionals think that they have everything they need to go after their next, and they don't. Listen, if Oprah failed when she started her network, we forget about that. She failed. She had to go hire a coach. That coach who ran another network helped her grow into where she is now. So you've got to understand, one of my favorite quotes is the tools you've used on this level are not sufficient for your next. You've got to get new tools. So two things: you need strategy, which in my humble opinion, everybody needs a coach, because if you knew how to do it, it'd be super easy. It's not going to be. God never calls you to easy. He calls you to abundantly above all, right? So you got to hire a coach, and you've got to have strategy if you're going to go after that next level.
That's good. So many people say, step out on faith. And you know, Mark Cuban says, no, you need a job. and I love that, because there's this whole enlightenment movement going out there. And you're right, now saying a life coach is very normal, but 15 years ago, it was something. And I think we have to be careful about what we about the journey, because it's worried about your finances, you know, and it's okay to be an aspiring entrepreneur or mogul in your industry and hold down a 9-to-5 job. That's responsible. So let's not make a 9-to-5 job the bad guy.
Well, listen, I used to call my 9-to-5 my investor, because it was investing in me, being able to pay for my lights, my mortgage, be able to eat while I started my business. And then some of my paycheck went into my business to be able to do things like pay for a coach, et cetera, et cetera. So you need that investor, which is your day-to-day job. Yeah.
Your 9-to-5 is your investor. Okay. And so once people get through that step, right? They know they need their job, they're building, they're meditating, they're filling themselves up. What's the next step to bankrolling their brilliance?
So you have to have strategy. So let me finish telling you about the purpose framework. So passion and proficiency, I just said those two correlate. The next thing you've got to know is, what problem does it solve? Because it's not everybody's answer. I think so many people start businesses because, oh, so-and-so's doing it, I could do it too. It's not about can you, it's should you. Big difference. So you've got to be clear on what your gift is and who it is the answer to, and stop trying to be everything to everybody, which means you're nothing to no one eventually, right? And then the fourth one is profit, because you got to understand that when you realize that you are the answer, people will pay you for that answer. So it's not about selling people. It's about serving people and being their answer that they'll pay for. So I think the biggest thing in between those two is strategy. I think I see so many people that try to pull pieces together. They get a little piece over here, they get a little piece over there, and they try to duct tape it together, and it doesn't work. Well, it's because it doesn't go together. So you've got to understand the step-by-step strategy that's going to move your gift from understanding what it is, the clarity around it, to then understanding how to move it into revenue.
You are listening to Glow with Markette Sheppard. We are live on Facebook right now. Check us out at Glowstream TV. Wherever you log on to social media, we're live with Nicole Roberts Jones. She has a Bankroll Your Brilliance masterclass if you're interested in getting a coach for your great idea. Brandon and Cheryl, do you have any questions for Nicole?
Actually, okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Cheryl.
No, Brandon.
No, go ahead, Sugar.
My question, I really just wanted to piggyback on what Nicole said. Your 9-to-5 is your investor, and I'm living proof of that. I mean, my first full-time job, I was working in the finance department at a network, at a cable network, but that was not the area I wanted to be. But at little by little, they found out that I was part-time in the wee hours of the morning, working as a traffic reporter on the radio. they decided to sort of invest in me. So my part-time job was merged in with my full-time job. They invested in me where I didn't have to get there exactly at 9. I got off the air at 9. So they allowed me to come in at 9:30. So sometimes you can sort of merge the two together. So I just wanted to say, I love this so very much. This is really awesome. And I'm glad that you're here today.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Carol, you bring up a good point. Not everyone is an entrepreneur. There is such a thing as an intrapreneur. Nicole, do you coach people along the lines of how to make the most of their full-time job if they're not quite feeling like their calling is entrepreneurship?
Yes, well, ultimately, it's all connected to purpose. When you, like Jim Collins says in Good to Great, when you're in the right seat on the right bus, sometimes you're on the wrong bus. Sometimes you're on the right bus, but you just are in the wrong seat. So it's just being clear, and it's all connected to your purpose. When you begin again, that passion and proficiency, that then ties to, if you are a 9-to-5er, it's your position at work, because your position still solves a problem for either ultimately for the product that company creates, right? So it's then just understanding. So if I give you a concrete example really quickly, I had a client that worked for a Fortune 500 bank and came to me and just loved where she worked and couldn't figure out why she didn't like her job. So she worked in project management, and we all know that's a lot of organizing and not a lot of people. And she was such a people person. So over time, we discovered that she should have been in sales, right? So she went and had a conversation, moved into sales. And let me tell you something. When you do work you love, not only do you love waking up, but baby, you start getting raises because you're working, your productivity skyrockets. So every now and then I do have the opportunity to work with people who are looking for why does something feel off? And it's just, you have something to do with them getting clear on their purpose.
First of all, Nicole, the gems that you are dropping today, it is literally a masterclass. I'm over here taking notes like I'm in college in lecture, because it's great. So for everybody that's listening to this on audio, please drive safely, please walk safely, because you're going to want to pause for the cause, rewind, and write these gems down. The list I have is it blesses my soul in this moment. Thank you. Now, I have a question, because we talk about purpose. If someone is struggling trying to identify like what their purpose, or if they are in this, that in between when you feel like you should be shifting, but you don't understand if you're shifting because you need to or because you're bored. How do you determine what that purpose is and how best to shift if that's what you're feeling? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's talking it through. Sometimes we do things in our own head, and you taking yourself as far as you could take yourself 9 times out of 10. If you could listen, if we could answer our own questions, God would have put us down here by ourselves. Okay. So it's teasing it out. And sometimes you got to be clear on who you're teasing it out with. Now, I'll be honest with you. I have phenomenal girlfriends. Happy hour. Yes. Talking about business. Now, back when I started, nobody else had a business, so they could not help me. So that's when I first hired a coach, because I kept thinking, listen, at the time I was an adjunct professor. That's why you hear part professor, by the way, Brandon. I was an adjunct professor at the time, teaching at Boston University and at USC. And I couldn't figure out, I'm teaching program development. Why is my business failing when this is what I'm teaching? Well, because again, you can't coach yourself. So I think it's having someone to talk it through that's 10 steps ahead of you that can then see your holes. I call it your blind spots, because there's sections of your gift that you can't see and you'll overlook. So sometimes you feel like there's something missing, and all you need is someone to say, did you look right here? Oh, I didn't think about that, right? So it's having someone that's on the outside be able to help you see what you can't see. The second part to your answer is when you're bored, it just means I believe God is calling you to your next level. So again, if I use myself as an example, and I wasn't bored, but what I realized when I left entertainment, and then I started working with teenage girls in my church, that program became a nonprofit, 10 cities, 10 chapters in 10 cities. I didn't intend for that, but God, right? Then my girls became grown women and started having grown women issues, I say. And then, I always serve a few good men. But what happened is I realized now that if I would have went from entertainment to working with grown folks, coaching, when I had never been a coach, I would have been intimidated and not done it. God knew he had to start me with kids. Because, I was grown, sit down, stop talking to grown folks. I can say all that to a child. I can't say that to a grown person, right? So it took me learning in that space. So understand that what's happening 9 times out of 10 is time for your next level. And that's why you're feeling like that.
Oh, I've heard so many people say, I could do my job in my sleep, and they're bored and they're ready for a change. They want to do something different because maybe they've been doing their job 7 years,
Yep.
And so what you're saying is, start preparing yourself for that next level.
And sometimes it's knocking on your door, but either you're scared of it or you think, oh, I can never do that. Or some of you guys have an inkling to start a business and you may be saying things to yourself like, how can I do that? Or people won't pay me. So that is really your next level calling. And all it requires is strategy to be able to go after it.
Tell us about some of your success stories. Nicole, audience, has this beautiful reel of all of her clients and on her website. Tell us your website, Nicole.
NicoleRobertsJones.com.
Okay, so at that website, and you have all of these happy clients, and they're like, oh my goodness, it was like I didn't know, and now I know. Can you give us one or two stories of someone who came to you with an idea, and it's so unique, and how they're doing now?
Sure. So I think I'll tell you two. So one, I'm not going to say her name because she didn't know. I didn't ask her before this. So I had a lawyer that came to me and she was referred. So I love when people think that I can't help them. Oh, I love a challenge, right? So she said, oh, you can't help me, but my friend said I should talk to you. Oh, okay. So you're being obedient. Oh, girl, I'm about to blow your mind. So anyway, so she says that, she was a lawyer, family practice law. And I asked her, how many people do you turn away because they can't pay your billable hours? And she thought, a lot. Mm-hmm. So what if we shifted your gift and found a way to serve them where you're not present and you're not charging them a billable hour? And she said, how could I? I said, because you have to understand your expertise. People are coming to you. They're at 2%. You're at 80% because you've been in law school. So even if you told them the forms to fill out to go through a divorce, you would bless them because many people don't even know to do that. And if you created it online, if I could talk, there's no touching you. So that's what I call making money while you sleep. She was blown away. So literally, we created 4 additional programs that are literally do not require her to be present. So that's one example. And again, this is someone that is in a traditional profession who doesn't think I can give out legal advice without being present. You're not giving out legal advice. You're walking them through a system that many people don't understand. So that's one. Another example I love is Dr. Deborah Tillman, who is America's Super Nanny. And I met Deborah at a conference. And what's so funny, y'all, if I keep it real, I thought she was Michelle Obama walking up to me. This is
she's very tall and regal. Yeah.
I was like, why is Michelle Obama walking around by herself? And why is she walking up to me? So anyway, so to make a long story short, we talked and she hired me to coach her. So Deborah's problem was that she had all these families coming to her and they either couldn't afford her as a coach or she didn't have enough time to serve any more families. And what many people don't realize is she also owns multiple childcare centers and she speaks all over the world. So what I did, and I do this with all my clients, did the same thing with the lawyer, is we created what I call a blueprint, which is that strategy. What you have to know is you have a methodology about way you do everything you do. But again, you're doing you on autopilot, so you don't realize it. So when I told Deborah we had to do a strategy, a blueprint, she was like, no, I tailored the experience when I work with every parent. And I said, okay, are you finished with that? I thought she was going to fire me because it was silent. Deborah's really sweet. So I gave her the homework. I give to all my clients. She came back to our second call in tears. She didn't realize that she does a method. And so we took that method, we created what she calls the GPS Greater Parenting System. She now has GPS programs online and groups. And so for her, it's not about making more money. It's about it's about not leaving transformation behind. So she gets to work with more people. So really, that's what I mean by bankrolling your brilliance is there's those of you that are at a 9-to-5 and you're bored or you think about, I'm gonna wait till I retire. You can't wait till you retire. You need to start it now alongside your 9-to-5 to really be able to look at how do I begin to serve people with this brilliance that I guarantee you, most of y'all, I call it pimping your gift because you're giving it away for free.
Love it. I love how we mix Jesus in the hood on Glow Street TV.
I couldn't come off mute quick enough. I was like, right, just giving it away for free, child. Pay me.
Right.
Love it.
But not only that, but then you end up serving from empty cup because you're giving and giving and giving and giving, and then you don't give anything back to yourself.
Exactly. And I think the right people will be happy to pay you for your expertise. And that is the bonus. That's the gift. But one thing that I'm hearing where some of the entrepreneurs in our community, the Glow community, they are tech averse. And what I'm hearing you say, Nicole, is automate your brilliance, right? We have all of the technology available to automate whatever you're good at. And for Brandon, you're a makeup artist that's very hands-on in person, but I guess you could automate some of the steps that you do to help people look fabulous.
I'm brainstorming over here right now. Nicole just don't know. I'm like, how can I automate my gift?
Brandon, let me tell you, I've had a client that's a makeup artist. She has an online makeup tutorial program. Hello. Because so many people, and then here's the other thing, I'm gonna tell y'all a secret. All of y'all that listen will get a real good secret. So how you get even more clients is most people will not be able to do what you teach them and they're gonna call and hire you anyway. because they can't do it. And you're not holding out on them, but I can't contour on a good day. Okay. I don't care how many times people teach me how to contour. It just looks like a hot mess. It's like, are you an Indian today? Are you trying to be an Indian? No. That's contour. That's contour. So I want you to get, no matter what you teach, you teaching people doesn't mean they're going to steal your intellectual property. Nobody can be you on a good day. Or they can be a fear with people.
Especially when they write books, they're like, I don't want to share my book with publicists and agents because it's like, nobody's going to write that book. That book is from your heart.
And look, I got a glow coming in, which never comes in. So this must be a good conversation today. I'm just saying.
Now, Cheryl spoke earlier about being a radio personality. She's also a fabulous MC. Cheryl, are you getting any ideas of how you could possibly automate your talents as a speaker?
I am also, like Brandon, taking notes. I don't have a clue just yet, but I'm listening and I'm taking it all in. I think back when you said, Nicole, that you are shy and you're a public speaker. Well, that is me too. Doing radio for me was best at the time because no one could see me. I was live. I mean, I can impersonate certain people. I could, be outside of myself, think outside of the box, to come on camera for me is like, oh, now everybody gets to see me. So it's a little different, but I am thinking about how I can maybe do something online for voiceover work, or how I could possibly teach people how to be, I don't know, an on-air personality, or share my story, how I became one.
Can I give you a gift? Can I give you a gift?
Please.
Pay attention to what the majority of people ask you for. I call that the lighthouse effect, because your light is shining. And so just like the lighthouse does in the dark of the night, it shines on the shore so it can find itself, shines the light in the sea. So your light is shining. That's why people come to you. So when you package that, that's the thing that God put you on earth to do. That's why your light is shining. Same thing with you, Brandon. Whatever that thing is that people ask you about the most, that is the thing that you should be packaging. I think sometimes we get in our own head and we start figuring out, I think this is what they need. Okay, first of all, your ideal client is an expert. So when they're asking you for it, answer it. That's what doctors do. That's what they get paid to do. So why can't we do it?
Listen to your market, right? Listen, your customers, your clients, or your potential clients are going to tell you what they want from you. And if you hear the same message 10 different times, is what Nicole is saying, from 10 different people, those are the little breadcrumbs that are left on the path of where you should follow, if I'm correct, right. Nicole.
Yep, but it has to be in alignment with what you do, because a lot of my girlfriends come in for relationship advice. You will not see me relationship coaching, right? I'm good at it because I know them. If I don't know you, I have no business trying to coach you in a relationship, okay? I'm clear. That's not my gift. I can do that with my girlfriends, but I'm not meant to be a relationship coach. So you just got to be clear on where your gifting is. That's that passion proficiency and how that aligns with people that are calling you to pick your brain.
I would love to hear from the Glow audience. If you are listening to us live on Facebook, or you're listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or iHeart, and you hear this in the future, come to our Facebook page, come to our social media at Glowstream TV. Tell us your gift. We are a community of supportive people, and we want to hear from you. One thing that I think is important is who you surround yourself with. And I know, Nicole, I'm originally from Los Angeles. I have family in the entertainment industry. You know the entertainment industry. Your career can fly or die based upon your team and who you're surrounded with. Talk to the folks out there about how important it is to surround themselves with people who are going to lift them up.
So first, you have to be clear on who you be. I think sometimes we put people around us to make us feel good about ourselves. That's not their job. And if that's what you need people for, then get your whole life together and love yourself first, right? So you've got to be clear on who you be, and then be clear and uncompromising with who is in alignment with that. So what I mean by that is I can do a whole episode on all the relationships that didn't work. Okay. So the reason my husband and I work, y'all ain't got time for that. The reason, and I didn't stop long enough to realize I kept being in the same movie with the same script. I kept going, why is this keep happening to me?
That happens to a lot of people. They're on a loop. Yeah.
Right.
That's happened to me.
Script, different cast, like Whitney and Deborah said.
And look at Michael Jackson, Whitney. When you look at all the people that are no longer with us, they did the same thing. It's like, you've got to be clear. And the one thing I hadn't stopped long enough to get clear on me, what I wasn't going to tolerate, what my values are, and only allow what's in alignment with that. So when my husband tried to act extra, and he probably can hear me because he tried to, I said, let me tell you what I'm not going to do. And it shifted because that wasn't who he was. He also had been programmed, because the world programs us in certain ways and certain things, and we don't realize that we accept it. So I think it's really getting clear on who you are and whose you are and your assignment on this earth. And we're all assigned, right? Like Brandon can whip a face. That's his assignment. So somebody comes in and tells you to do something that's not aligned with that. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. Right.
Start saying no to what's not aligned to you, folks. And I need to hear that too. I'm repeating what you're saying because I think that's so powerful. So let that sit. Say no to things that you are not aligned to, even if you know you can do it. If it's not for you, it's going to kind of take you off your path. And then God or the universe has to spend time getting you, like how you take a wrong turn on a GPS and then you add 10 minutes.
Calibrate,
right. Nicole is just saying, stay on the GPS path. Continue, Nicole.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to say, what's interesting is when you don't do it, it doesn't feel good usually, right? And so I've had to learn that no was a complete sentence. I don't need to tell you why I'm telling you no, because 9 times out of 10, when you explain it, they start trying to talk you back into it. No, I'm not doing that. Or those of you that aren't comfortable, I always say, make a friendly edit. So instead of saying no, so like if my husband, who used to try this, and he probably can hear me, called me because I work from home and would say, can you go to the cleaners? I would say, I can go tomorrow. So in other words, I'm saying no. I'm not going today, but instead of saying no, I make a friendly edit. I can go 2 days from now. Now, because he wants it today, I know that means he's going to have to go. But the point is really finding a way to still make people feel loved, despite the fact that maybe you're telling them they no longer have a seat in your front row. Maybe they need to go to the balcony, but not making them feel bad for that.
Okay, that's good. So you have to train the people around you and be conscious of what you're saying yes to. And one thing for me is people who give me tight deadlines, I make better decisions when I have time to think. And so this happened to me yesterday where someone said, okay, if we don't find what we're looking for, I'm going to just go and do this. And it was just like, I have to make a decision today on this. Yeah. Can you give me a week? Why do I have to meet your arbitrary deadline? Give me some time to think. And I know that about myself after several decades on this planet, that you can't rush me into a decision because I am not going to make the best decision possible. And I don't know how true that is for you, but it's not. So all the time, it's not necessarily changing your team or changing the people around you. It's educating them on how you guys are going to walk forward together.
Yep. And it's okay to say, okay, well, if you need to know today, then go ahead and do it because I can't tell you today. If you can wait till Wednesday, then I'll let you know. It's okay to do that.
My phrase is, your emergency is not my urgency in this moment.
Oh,
like I need to think. And if you're one of those people that need to think, then take it. And if, like to your point, Nicole, if that time is not allowed, then just go ahead and do it.
So Brandon, you're like me. And what I love about our relationship is I will text you on Monday. You will get back to me on Sunday. It'll be a whole week.
I'm not that bad.
No. It'll be a whole week. It's okay. No, it's okay. Because you know what? You'll do the same. You'll email me. I'll get the message. I may fulfill the request and get back to you in a week. But we don't pressure each other. I think that's why we get along so great.
And look, and when it's urgent, you'll say, listen, I know you're busy. Can you let me know by? And if it's not urgent, right? Like I was telling somebody, I'm not a phone girl, meaning like I don't hang out on the phone. I don't have time for that. Right. So if I'm calling you, it's for purpose. Right. And now I have to be better about calling my friends and check on them. So I've gotten better with that this year. But, it's really understanding that your time is precious. So when I'm asking you to utilize part of your time, I need to honor the fact that your time is precious.
That is so good. That is so good. And so everybody can't be a player and a coach at the same time. So we got the gem about you need a coach to see your blind spots. You need to educate the people around you on how you want to be treated, not just for business purposes, but for life purposes. This is how I operate best. Will you come along with me on this journey, right? Say no to things that you are not in alignment with, okay? And all of these steps are going to help people bankroll their brilliance. I love the title of your program. Now you have a master class where people can attend. Tell us about this master class, what happens, and I'm going to go behind the fierce curtain.
I love that you're talking about it. So I do probably once a quarter, I do some kind of master class. And what you're talking about is actually over by the time y'all see this episode. But here I have a gift for you. I'm gonna give you someone better. So there's a quiz, brillianceroadmapquiz.com. Take the quiz. It tells you where you are in your journey, whether you're just starting out and needed to define your purpose, whether you're ready to start building a business alongside your 9-to-5, or whether you've been in business for years and you're not quite hit 6 figures, right? Ongoing, not one time, predictable ongoing revenue. It will assess where you are. And then it gives you the next 5 days activation all for free. So that will actually help you wherever you are, move it forward. And then at the end of it, if you choose to, we gift you with a call with one of our coaches, because here's what happens. You get strategy. You may not know if it's good or if you need to do something extra. So you can have somebody else look at your strategy. So again, that's brillianceroadmapquiz.com. And let me just tell you this real quick. The reason I created this quiz is because, again, I've been doing this 28 years. When I first started my business, I didn't know how to start. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to ask. I didn't even know where I was, right? So I wanted to create a opportunity for people that came to this crossroad to be able to get the tools to move themselves forward for free. So then you know what you know, and then you will have to invest, whether it's with me or someone else. I'm gonna be honest with you. I give you some great insights so you understand where you are, but if you're gonna move it forward, you're going to need to invest in a coach to help move you forward.
You need to invest in yourself. Cheryl and Brandon, any questions for Nicole? We're getting some gems here. Say the website one more time before we go to Brandon's question.
brillianceroadmapquiz.com.
All right, Brandon.
Quick question for you, Nicole. Are you on Instagram?
I am. I'm in Roberts Jones because my name is too long. In Roberts Jones, yes.
All right, y'all follow her on Instagram as well. Plus, go to the website and take the quiz. I'm taking the quiz.
We're going to hit that follow button. Cheryl, you're doing it right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Listen.
That's like the tools all week long.
Nicole was literally, if you're listening to this on a podcast streaming device, Nicole was literally lighting up. There was a glow. I think it was the sun coming through her window as she was talking.
I tell you guys, I have my windows taped up ghetto, but they're taped up, right? So this light can't come through. Yeah, I said ghetto because look, I have no problem telling you every now and then I do a little something that's, so you can't see it. So it's taped up. And the fact that it came through just was confirmation, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome. And I know, Cheryl, you're the type of person where people always come by your desk at work. Cheryl and I used to work together, full disclosure.
Yes.
And they will tell you their issues and their problems. And now you can tell them somewhere to go if you can't help them.
Right.
I'm busy working on me, but just go to this website.
Exactly.
And here's what I always tell people too. If this blesses you, listen, you're asking for a 20-minute answer to an 8-week solution. There's no way that I can tell you something in 20 minutes that's going to help move you forward. It's irresponsible for me to think that I can. But however, and that's what happens when people pull me to the side. Oh, I have a question. I'll answer it, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give you a quick answer. It's no way going to help you implement anything. It's irresponsible for you to think that I can walk you through your whole business in 20 minutes. Girl, bye. Or boy, bye. Right? It's just not going to happen.
For the glow getters out there, they are lighting up listening to this conversation. Are there any universal truths on this entrepreneur's journey that I know you can't get to people in 20 minutes? And it does take weeks, months, sometimes years to groom a successful entrepreneur. But are there some universal truths that everyone should just know as they embark on this journey of starting and building a successful business?
I think the biggest truth is your comfort and your conviction can never coexist. If you think you're going to be comfortable and go after this rumble, this desire you have, then you are in for a rude awakening. If it's bigger than where you are, my favorite Bible verse is abundantly above all you can ask or think. If it's bigger than what I can ask or think, can you imagine? So that means it's going to be scary. I'm going to think, oh, I can't do it. So it means you're going to have to conjure up a whole nother level of you in order to go after it. So again, your conviction and your comfort can never coexist. It's not possible.
Growing pains. That's why they call it growing pains. Yes. It's uncomfortable. And when you think about anyone with a goal, we're in the holiday season right now as we're recording this. Maybe you have a diet goal. It's very uncomfortable to eat the right foods. Yes. It's very uncomfortable to go on that walk or that run or to lift weights or do those 50 squats that you have to do if you want to cook that way. Right? It's uncomfortable. It's just as it's uncomfortable to exercise, right? I'm hearing from Nicole, if you want to bankroll your brilliance here with the Glowstream TV fam, you're going to have to exercise your business acumen and exercise that knowing that you have inside of yourself.
Yes, that's so good. That's so good. And literally, it's about expansion. It's about not who you already are. It's about who you have not yet become.
Ooh, well, like we started talking about becoming.
At this computer. I'm taking notes. Give it to us one more time, Nicole.
It's not about who you already are. It's about who you have not yet become. And I'm saying that slow because I want you to realize that if you were done, we would already been at your funeral. Oh, yeah, I said it, right? So it means there's so much more available to you. Oprah's not the only one that's meant to have that kind of status. We all have it available. Now, we're all not going to be Oprah. You have your own lane to conquer in. But the question is, will you do what it takes to go after it?
Yeah, I like this. And what you said earlier too is when you make the bad decision, it feels bad. Well, the opposite of that is when you make the good decision, it feels good. I don't know how many times when I'm struggling with a decision, and I can't make up my mind. When I finally make up my mind and it feels like a weight has been lifted off of me. I don't know if you guys have had that feeling. It's like, oh, I finally made the right decision.
Yep.
And you end up getting something better.
Yes, but I want to encourage you, because you make that right decision. And if it's a big one, I remember I was on a mastermind call once, and Ayanna Van Zant said, if you don't feel like you need to pee on yourself, you ain't playing big enough. So you make the right decision, you're excited, but then the next minute, all the nerves come up like, oh Lord, and can I do this? So I want to just remind you to write down that big vision, that big decision, that big thing, and remind yourself that that's possible. If it's in you, then all you got to do is work to go get it. So that when the fear comes, you stay in the work and you don't give up. Because listen, if it's bigger, first of all, it's not bigger than you playing too small. But second, it's going to scare you. It's just going to, it's inevitable.
Dream big. I have a vision board. You talked about writing things down. How important is it for you and your clients to write that vision down and see it every day?
Yep. Yeah, I really believe in vision boards because it reminds you of where you're headed. So when you have those, what I call see nothing days, when you plant a seed, you got to water it and water it and water it and water it and water it. And I keep saying water it, right? Until it grows. So you go through a whole lot of see nothing days. So your vision, the Bible verse says, though it tarries, wait for it, because it's going to take a while before it comes out. You're going to have to go through some things and grow some things and do some things before you see anything. So I think it's so important to keep it in front of you so you can be reminded, I'm working toward this. I cannot give up. I've got to keep watering my seed.
This is so great. We're 53 minutes into our show. We have a few minutes left. But one thing that I have taken away from this conversation on a higher level, we're thinking big, right? Mm-hmm. We want to use our talents for a bigger purpose. And we live in a universe of harmony. Night and day happens over the course of 12 hours here, right? So you got to plan and be strategic. And that was the first tip, right? And then know that you have to water that seed, how we're ending here. And just as a plant grows gradually, as much as you want it and as big as you can think, know that it's going to be a journey. Things don't just happen in this universe in a snap. Now, God is able, right? And miracles do happen. But by and large, you have to nurture something. You have to nurture your talent. And I believe I'm growing this community glow so everybody can remember who they were when they were born. This world has a way of changing your mind and making you blind. And I just want people to see you have a light inside of you and you need to let that light shine. And if you're listening and you're a glow getter and you want more information, Nicole, tell us one more time where we can reach out to you and what we can look forward in 2022 from Nicole Roberts Jones.
Yay. So I have so much new programming coming out in 2022. I can't say names yet, but NicoleRobertsJones.com is my website. Listen, if you take the Brilliance Roadmap quiz, I'm going to tell you now, you're going to be on my mailing list. So you'll hear about what's coming in 2022. And then follow me on Instagram. My favorite place is Instagram. I give tools, tips all week long. In Roberts Jones is where I am on Instagram. So I have some new programming and doing some different things in 2022. So,
well, we are ready for it. Brandon and Cheryl, do you have any last questions before we close out today's Glow episode?
I just want to say, I am so glad that you were on today. I feel so empowered, so inspired. I literally just want to get up and it's like, just get to it. Just really get to it. And there has never been a better time to actually do this. A lot of us have been thinking a lot about what is our purpose? What is it that we're supposed to do, especially during this time of pandemic? So I thank you for sharing and dropping all these gems. I am soaking it up. I'm like a sponge today. I'm ready to go. I'm ready.
And you're on mute, Brandon.
Be going in
so
too.
You're officially now a friend in my head, Nicole. And I will be following you on all your platforms. Get ready to see my face stalking you because this is so great. And I think it transitions us well into 2022 because during this time, as we wrap up, people are thinking about what the next year will serve to them and what we can do. New Year resolutions, vision boards, all these things. So this is such a great, powerful conversation because they can follow you and also incorporate a lot of your tools into their planning of 2022. I know I am. So yes.
Well, thank you so much. We got some great vision here. And I want to encourage you, listen to this episode again. If you listen to it, you got some gems. I promise you, if you play it back, you will hear new things. I always do that. And that's a tip I'm giving you. And as we close out today's episode, I just want to remind you, don't just go through life, glow through life. Thanks for listening to Glow with Markette Sheppard. You can find us online at glowstreamtv.com. Please follow, like, and subscribe to support this show. Take care, guys.